Now 5 News at 5 with the latest on America's deadliest mass shooting, and this does contain pictures you might find upsetting right from the start.
On 5 News, at least 58 people killed in America's worst ever mass shooting. The gunman opened fire on a crowd at a music festival in Las Vegas. He fired again and again and again. Witnesses said it went on for 15 minutes.
Boom, 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 boom. And they kept going, even after we left, it just kept going and going.
More than 500 people are injured. We've the full story also. Monarch Airlines goes bust. Nearly 1 million passengers are affected and thousands lose their jobs.
Very upset, didn't expect it. Truly devastated.
It is really disgusting. We've been here since 4:30 or earlier this morning.
And was this the violent birth of a nation? We're in Catalonia as people there vote for independence.
I'm ashamed of the government, Spanish government. What it's doing, I think it's incredible, so I don't want to be part of that.
Hello and welcome to 5 News. I'm Sian Williams. It's the worst mass shooting in US history, and the numbers of those killed just keeps rising. At least 58 people have died and 515 injured after a gunman opened fire on a crowd at an open-air concert in Las Vegas. Police have named the man as 64-year-old Stephen Paddock, who they say had at least 10 rifles in his hotel room. As he began firing through his window, people threw themselves to the ground or ran for their lives. But as one witness said, the shots just kept happening and happening. Just a warning that some viewers might find the material in Catherine Jones's report distressing.
This is how the horror began. A crowd of 22,000 caught in the crosshairs. The music stops. The crowd goes quiet, confused. In the VIP tent, some stroll forward, curious.
That's the AR.
But then the stuttering sound starts again, and the realization hits. It's gunfire. Relentlessly, mercilessly. The bullets keep coming from the direction of the Mandalay Bay Hotel, towering over the festival site. Huddled together, no one knows whether to lie still or run. Witnesses estimate in total there were 15 bursts of prolonged gunfire like this.
It just continued for 20 minutes straight. And every time there was a break, we ran and we ran. And I still wasn't even sure if it was actually bullets until one of the times we paused, our friend was like, the guy next to us got shot.
I got my wife up. As I got her up, 2 guys came running by that were carrying a girl or somebody that was all bloody, and it looked like they had been shot.
We were hiding because there was like just shots going everywhere. Yeah. And there were just dead people everywhere.
Everyone just got up and they said run, and everyone started stampeding and charging and knocking over grills, jumping over fences.
Boom, 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 boom. And they kept going, even after we left, it just kept going and going. It was insane.
It was at the south end of Las Vegas's famous strip that the Route 91 Harvest Music Festival was being held. And it was a room on the 32nd floor of the Mandalay Bay, its windows shot out, that the gunman occupied. By the time the police stormed it, Stephen Paddock had killed himself. 10 rifles were found with the body of the 64-year-old local man, previously unknown to police.
The number of injured, we are using the number of 515. And as you can tell, as the hours go by, that number continues to increase. We have not received any additional intelligence associated with the suspect. We have completed the search warrant in Mesquite. I am not aware of any derogatory information that we can utilize to furtherance of this investigation at this point, but we have just recovered items, and it will take a little while to evaluate that information.
We need your truck. We just need to get people over to the hospital, okay?
Survivors and volunteers worked for hours through the night trying to prevent the death toll growing even higher. A country all too used to murder on this scale is once again left trying to fathom why anyone would want the terrible distinction of causing the deadliest mass shooting here in modern times. Catherine Jones, 5 News.
Well, a short time ago, Jay Gray from the US television network NBC sent us this update on the casualties.
Hey there, want to give you an idea of what's going on right now. You can see the strip is locked down just behind us, the police tape and officers there as the massive investigation continues on the other side here. The FBI, state and local police all involved here. They are also carrying out investigations at the gunman's home in Mesquite, Nevada, where they found more weapons. 10 found inside his hotel room, more weapons found in his home about an hour and a half to 2 hours away from Las Vegas. We know that that person of interest, a companion, has been located. She's talked to police, is out of the country. They don't believe that she had anything to do with the attack here. The worst mass shooting in U.S. history. Police have put out a call for blood, asking people to donate if they can to help the victims of this attack. And they stress that this is just the beginning of what's going to be a long, a very difficult investigation in this city.
Jay Gray. Well, in the past few minutes, we've heard from the brother of the gunman who gave his reaction to the news.
He's never hit anybody. He's never...
Gun enthusiast or just
never.
A few...
Well, he had a couple of handguns, I think. He had a safe with a couple of handguns. He might have had one long rifle, but he didn't have any... I mean, he had no automatic weapons that I knew of at any time. There's no... It just makes no sense.
Earlier this afternoon, President Donald Trump offered words of support and condolence for the victims. He hasn't yet raised the issue of gun control. That may be for the weeks and months to come. But we do know in the past he has spoken strongly in favour of the right to bear arms. It's an issue that's raised every time there's a mass shooting in America. And as Layla Hayes reports, it's one that continues to divide the nation.
We can't tolerate this anymore. These tragedies must end. And to end them, we must change.
The words of President Barack Obama after the horror of Sandy Hook. Even in a nation with so many mass shootings, Sandy Hook stood out. 20 children and 6 adults shot dead at a primary school. It was thought this would change things.
This is not about politics. This is about doing the right thing for all the families who are here that have been torn apart by gun violence.
There were calls for tougher gun control, but those calls had been made before. In 1999, 13 people were killed at Columbine High School in Colorado.
We must strengthen our gun laws and enforce those already on the books better.
But any debate about guns in America always comes back to the Constitution and the right to bear arms. And the gun lobby, the National Rifle Association, now has a powerful ally in Washington.
You have a true friend and champion in the White House. No longer will federal agencies be coming after law-abiding gun owners.
President Trump has already rolled back on regulation that made it harder for those with mental illnesses to buy a gun. Even after Las Vegas, many say things are unlikely to change.
Over the last 50 or 60 years, we've seen American presidents assassinated with firearms. We've seen American civil rights leaders assassinated with firearms. We've seen American presidential candidates shot and killed with firearms. We've seen school children shot up with firearms. If these incidents aren't going to prompt calls for a re-examination of Second Amendment rights, it's difficult to see what will.
Another shooting, yet more heartache and pain. But when it comes to gun control, America is as divided as ever. Layla Hayes, 5 News.
Well, you can see more coverage of the Las Vegas shooting. It's on our Facebook page and you search for Channel 5 News. Let's bring you some other news now. 860,000 customers with Monarch have had their travel plans thrown into chaos after the company went into administration. Around 110,000 have been left stranded abroad. Staff who face losing their jobs told us they're devastated and heartbroken. Here's our chief correspondent, Tessa Chapman.
Grounded for good after Monarch's bosses called in the administrators in the early hours. Text and emails were sent to customers to tell them flights were off, and to more than 2,000 staff to say sorry, but it's all over. These cabin crew face losing their jobs.
We are a family, and it's like the end of the line, and it's still hard to basically digest, but yeah, very upset, didn't expect it.
Devastated. We've worked so hard to keep this company going. The last few years has been very difficult.
It's been 50 years since Monarch started flying holidaymakers to short-haul sunshine destinations. Who'd have thought then it would end with the government having to step in, instructing the Civil Aviation Authority to rescue stranded passengers?
We've put together what is the biggest repatriation exercise that Britain's ever seen in peacetime. We've got 110,000 people in resorts all around the Mediterranean. We will get those people home on a special fleet of chartered planes over the next couple of weeks at pretty much the time they're expecting to come back. There's bound to be a few hiccups on the way, but my message to people over there is we will get you home.
But what of the 750,000 people who've booked and paid to travel in the future? This wedding party was flying to Gran Canaria for their ceremony on Saturday. They got through passport control before they found out their flight was cancelled.
It's an absolute joke. I've got 30 people here at the airport with me who've travelled from Lincolnshire and London and Bournemouth, where we're from, and now they can't even get home because the coach has gone back and everyone's just stuck here abandoned.
It is really disgusting. We've been here since 4:30 or earlier this morning. It's a wedding party and we just couldn't get on the flight.
Monarch's spectacular demise may have come as a surprise for passengers, but industry experts say the writing's been on the wall after an appalling year in a difficult market.
With the terrorist situation, we've seen certain markets like Tunisia and Egypt taken off the market. That's had a very damaging impact. We've also seen new players come into the Western Mediterranean flight market, which has also created more competition. And we've also seen the impact of a weaker pound, which has increased fuel prices.
And at the Luton headquarters, administrators played down hopes that the business could be bought.
The business has been up for sale over the last few weeks. There were some indicative interests at early days. Unfortunately, these have gone. The chance of selling a material part of the business is probably slim, so it's just going to be small parts of it, and therefore the jobs, unfortunately, the job prospects don't look very good at the moment.
It's too early to count the full cost to employees and customers, to everyone hit by the biggest airline failure in British history.
Well, Tessa's here, and some of our viewers will have booked holidays and flights with Monarch. What should they do now?
You're right, we're talking 750,000 passengers affected. Some booked in the next few days and weeks, others as far ahead as next summer. The first thing to say is do not go to the airport. That flight will not be taking off. But the question on most people's minds will be money. Will they be entitled to a refund? Whether or not they are depends on how they purchase their airline tickets and if you have an ATOL protection certificate. If you've booked a package deal with Monarch, then you will be able to claim a refund as they are ATOL protected. However, if you bought flights only through Monarch, then you won't be able to make a claim through the Civil Aviation Authority. Instead, you're advised to contact your bank or your insurer directly. The same applies if you've booked through a third-party website, so one of the many travel websites. If it's ATOL protected, you can definitely get your money back. If not, then you need to contact your bank or insurer, and it's up to them. One other thing to note is if you've paid by credit card and it's over £100, you have a legal guarantee to your money back. If you've booked and used a debit card, no such guarantee, but your bank may give you the money back. Beware as well, though, some of this process may take weeks, if not months.
Good advice, Tessa. Thanks for that. Coming up on 5 News. Chaos after Catalonia's controversial vote to separate from Spain. So what happens now? And more questions for the Foreign Secretary. What was his answer, though? Find out after the break.
Turn on great value with super fast Sky Fibre. It's super reliable and will never slow you down, even at peak times. Plus, it's our lowest price fibre. Let's all get super fast Sky Fibre. It's super reliable and it's our lowest price fibre. All for the tiny price of just £20 a month, including line rental for 18 months when you join or recontract Sky TV. Search Sky Fibre. Sky. Believe in better.
He was Saturday night's top entertainer, but at what cost?
I can't believe how much pain I've been in.
Stay, don't.
No, please, I don't feel
Please
embarrassed.
don't. Okay, but just stay. Stay with me.
Bobby Davro in Therapy, Friday at 10 on Channel 5.
And you thought Monday was the slowest day of the week.
Let me just compose myself.
All Action Mondays. Tonight from 8 on Channel 5.
Hello and welcome back. You're watching 5 News. The leader of the Spanish region of Catalonia says it's won the right to become its own state after yesterday's highly contentious referendum saw 90% of voters back independence. The day was marred by violence, with Spanish police accused of being heavy-handed. Spain's Prime Minister said the referendum made a mockery of democracy. From Barcelona, Dominic Reynolds reports.
Drive these arrogant people back. The words of the Catalan national song. And this weekend, the volume was decisively turned up. 2 million people just voted for this region to become independent from Spain. They say Prime Minister Rajoy was arrogant to ban their votes and to beat up those who disobeyed.
I think that we are more united than ever. I think that Rajoy has made the whole Catalan population one, you know?
Because of what the police did?
Yeah.
This is what they did. Police treated voters like rioters. More than 800 people ended up in hospital yesterday, and dozens of ballot boxes were confiscated. And as word of that violence spread, schools acting as polling stations were turned into fortresses. Bois was responsible for bolting the gates when the police came near.
The European Union is saying nothing, and it's just incredible. I mean, what's happening here is a clear violation of civil rights, political rights.
As well as its language, Catalonia has a powerful economy of its own too. The Spanish government wants that to stay Spanish, and over the last decade has denied a push to put more powers beneath the Catalan flag. So this referendum was a provocation. 90% said yes in the end, but only 40% voted, say the Catalan government. Supporters say that's enough to declare independence this week.
A vote that was pretty chaotic. The stats are pretty unreliable. This isn't something you can base secession on, is it?
I kind of think it is, because when you are the person who is, you are the force that's making it chaotic, and you are the force that's confiscating campaign materials, ballots, ballot boxes. I think you're complicit in the fact that what didn't go exactly the way it should.
They're saying Spanish press manipulating press. This argument was about independence. Now it's about police brutality and how the Spanish media has covered it.
They're doing their best to show the media their own story now. Voters silenced by the state. But that state is watching all of this very carefully. Will these people turn this week into a crisis for one of Europe's biggest economies? Dominic Reynolds, 5 News in Barcelona.
Here, it's the Conservatives' party conference this week, a chance to set out its vision and agenda. Instead, it's turning into the battle of Theresa May and Boris Johnson. The Foreign Secretary has been accused of undermining the Prime Minister's leadership once again. And as our political editor Andy Bell found out, it's getting in the way of the message they want to get out.
She got them into this mess, and she says she's going to get them out of it. This week, Theresa May must convince her party she can see a way forward. but he is upsetting those around him.
Come on, move. Give him space. Oh.
Boris Johnson didn't want to talk today, but his outspoken statements on Brexit have put more pressure on the Prime Minister. Cabinet ministers we found today didn't want to engage with this row at the top.
Are you happy with the way the conference is going so far?
Yes, absolutely, very.
And with Boris and what he had to say?
The conference is making progress and we're addressing a number of important issues.
What about Boris? Some quiet from him would be welcome?
Oh, I think we'll hear from him later in the week.
Boris Johnson has his supporters, especially among those who think Brexit is dragging on.
Boris Johnson was right to say what he did?
I was very happy with what Boris said. I don't think it was against government policy, and I haven't heard anybody explain how it was against government policy.
Many others here, though, take a very different view.
Was it helpful for Boris Johnson to make the comments he's made and to grab the headlines in the way that he's done?
No, of course it wasn't helpful, and I suspect that Boris knew that, and that's why everyone is so furious with him. That's why the Parliamentary Party is so unimpressed.
Also exercising this conference, how to appeal to younger voters. The Chancellor said the Conservatives had to be
the party that makes a clear commitment to the next generation that they will be better off than us and that their children will be better off again than them.
They have eased payments on tuition fees and found another £10 billion to help young home buyers.
Thank you, I'm a big fan. Such a big fan.
Strangely enough, this old-style Tory MP has built up a massive online following.
What is it that you're doing?
Well, the fact that I'm doing well may be an indication that as a party we're not doing well enough.
All right, what would you like to ask me?
Disgusting views are not welcome here.
Sure enough, one of his meetings was later disrupted by protesters who look like the kind of voters the Conservatives are trying to appeal to. A few minutes away, Manchester Metropolitan University. What do they think here of what the Conservatives are offering?
We're not just after a better deal for ourselves. We're young, we're a bit idealistic. We kind of want a better world in general. It's not just about the money and the student loans and stuff.
Older people can go Conservative because they then have money they want to protect, or they become business people, or they care more about keeping wealth. But I think other parties kind of have the greater good in mind.
They are the party of government, but are they strong enough, united enough to be able to reach for this ambition? Andy Bell, 5 News, Manchester.
And Andy will be reporting from the Conservative Party conference in Manchester right throughout the week. That is it for now, though. Claire Nazir has the weather for you next. I will see you again tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Matt is back at 6:30 with more on events in America and, of course, the rest of the day's news. But for now, thanks for watching. Have a good evening.